Let me tell you something most people never realize, not when they're young, not even as adults. Why is it that, in all your years at school, nobody ever sits you down and says, "This is how money really works"? You spend hours learning math, science, history, even how to dissect a frog. But nobody ever teaches you how to make money, how to keep it, or how to build wealth that lasts for generations. Why is that? I remember once asking my own father. He was the head of education, a PhD. I came home and asked, "Dad, why don't we learn about money in school?" He looked at me, almost tired, and said, "Because the government decides what we can and can't teach." He said, "Your job is to get a job." I asked again, "But isn't the point of a job to earn money?" He replied, "No, the point is just to have a job. That's what you're supposed to do." You see, that's what most people believe. That life is about getting a job, not understanding money. But what if they're wrong? What if the system is designed to keep you on the hamster wheel? Let that question sit with you. Why don't they teach you about money? What are they trying to hide? Are you going to accept that answer, or are you going to dig deeper for yourself? If you're curious, if you're the type who questions what everyone else just accepts, eventually you'll look for answers outside the classroom. That's exactly what I did. When my father told me, "If you want to learn about money, go ask your best friend's father," I was confused. "But Dad, why him?" He said, "Because Mike's father is an entrepreneur. He knows money in a way I don't." That's when I realized. There are two kinds of teachers in life, those who teach you from books and those who teach you from experience. Mike's father was different. He wasn't a professor or a government employee. He was a businessman. So I gathered my courage, marched over to his office, and asked, "Can you teach me about money?" He looked me up and down and said, "Beat it, kid." But I didn't give up. I kept coming back, kept asking questions. Finally, he agreed, but on one condition. He would never pay me. He said, "The moment I pay you, you'll start thinking like an employee. And that's not what I want for you." He said, "Entrepreneurs work for free. They figure out how to create value, not just how to collect a paycheck." I was only 9 years old, and I was learning a lesson most adults never understand. If you chase a paycheck, you'll never be free. And so began my education. Not in a classroom, but in the real world. I cleaned, I ran errands, I did every boring job you can imagine, all for free. Because real education isn't about what you're paid, it's about what you become. Ask yourself, are you working to learn or just working to earn? Sometimes the best lessons come from the simplest games. Mike's father, my rich dad, never taught me with textbooks. He taught me with Monopoly. Every weekend I'd sit across from him at the kitchen table, moving little green houses and red hotels around the board. At first I thought it was just a game, but he'd ask, "Do you know what we're really doing here?" I'd shrug. He'd smile and say, "We're learning about money." He showed me that the same rules that work in Monopoly, buying green houses, trading up for red hotels, work in real life. He'd say, "There are thousands of ways to build wealth, but one of the most powerful is the formula from Monopoly. 4 green houses, 1 red hotel." I didn't fully get it at the time, but years later, when I saw him assemble small properties, buy out tiny shop owners, and turn those assets into a massive hotel in the middle of Waikiki Beach, I understood. That's when the lesson became real. The games you play as a child can shape your fortune as an adult if you pay attention. Schools won't teach you how to build assets, how to spot opportunity, or how to multiply what you have. That knowledge isn't hidden. It's just not offered to most people. But it's out there, waiting for those who are willing to learn, to play a different game. Ask yourself, are you following the rules everyone else accepts, or are you searching for the real rules that build wealth? Let's step out of the board game and into the real world. After years of playing Monopoly with my rich dad, I watched him do exactly what he taught me. But this time, with real money, real land, and real risk. He started small, buying up tiny pieces of property around Waikiki Beach. It wasn't glamorous. Sometimes it took years just to buy out one little shop. But he kept going. He understood something most people miss. Wealth is built slowly, one asset at a time. 10 years later, when I was 19 and came home from school in New York, I saw what he had accomplished. All those little green houses had become a giant red hotel, the Hyatt Regency Waikiki. That was his monopoly moment. The game was never just a game. It was training for life. He taught me, most people want a shortcut. They want to get rich quick. But the real secret is building up your assets, being patient, and taking calculated risks. Sometimes the greatest fortunes are made not by doing what's popular, but by quietly assembling the right pieces, waiting for the perfect moment, and then making a big move. So ask yourself, are you willing to start small, to work for years without applause, to turn theory into real, lasting wealth? Because in the end, the world rewards those who don't just dream, but who turn dreams into assets. If you want to grow, not just in business but in life, you have to make peace with failure. My rich dad went through financial crashes. He was betrayed by people he trusted. But every setback was a lesson. Every loss became a teacher. He taught me something most schools never will. Real growth comes from facing both the good and the bad. You see, in school, we're trained to fear mistakes, get a wrong answer, lose points, feel shame. But out here in the real world, mistakes are not the enemy. They are the tuition you pay for wisdom. Rich Dad would say, if you never make mistakes, you'll never grow. He believed that life is full of ups and downs, wins and losses, and that's what makes it interesting. Most people are afraid to try, afraid to step out of their comfort zone, afraid to be wrong. But if you only chase what's safe and familiar, you'll never know what you're truly capable of. Sometimes, the blessings in life come disguised as setbacks. What looks like failure is just the world teaching you a lesson you can't learn any other way. So let me ask you, are you willing to take risks, to learn from pain, to use every setback as a step forward? Because the only real failure is refusing to learn. Here's a truth that most people never talk about. Poverty doesn't always start with money. It often starts with mindset, passed down quietly from one generation to the next. I didn't come from a family that was poor by the world's standards, but I came from a family with a poor attitude. Maybe you know what that's like. In some families, children grow up hearing things like, money is the root of all evil, or rich people are greedy, or simply, we can't afford that. These words become beliefs, and those beliefs shape lives. It doesn't matter how much money someone earns. If they were taught to think like the poor, they'll always feel poor inside. The middle class is taught to work hard, to get a good job, to play it safe. They're told not to take risks, not to stand out, not to dream too big. And so, even those who make good money often end up worried, stressed, and unsatisfied. So ask yourself, what beliefs about money did you inherit? Are you carrying forward ideas that serve you, or ideas that hold you back? Because until you question those stories, you'll keep reliving them, generation after generation. Let's talk about what school really prepares you for. The system is designed to create employees, doctors, lawyers, specialists, people who follow instructions. And yes, those jobs are important. But ask yourself, did anyone ever teach you how to handle debt? How to read a financial statement? How taxes actually work? How to build or buy a business? Most people never get those lessons. Even in families that mean well, business knowledge is rare. You might hear stories like mine. My rich dad didn't finish school. His father died young, and he had to take over the family business at 13. That turned out to be his greatest blessing, because his teachers weren't in a classroom. They were real-life experts, accountants, attorneys, bankers, real estate agents. He learned by doing, by solving problems, by failing and trying again. Meanwhile, most school teachers, though good people, teach subjects they never practice themselves. Ask your math teacher, do you use calculus in your daily life? Many will say, no. I just teach it because it's my job. That's why, if you want real financial education, you need to find real teachers, people who do what they teach every single day. The best education is not always found in books, but in the experience of those who walk the talk. So, who are your teachers? Are you learning from doers or just from talkers? Now, here's something I wish every young person learned early. Poor people say, I can't afford it. I can't do that. I don't have time. Rich people? They ask, how can I afford it? How can I do that? What would it take? One simple change, from a statement to a question, can open your mind or shut it down. When you say, I can't, your brain stops searching. You accept defeat before you even try. But when you ask, how can I? You start looking for solutions. You challenge yourself to grow. That's not just a trick. It's a habit that can change your entire life. My rich dad always said, questions open your mind, statements close it. Most people use I can't as an escape, an excuse to avoid risk, to avoid the unknown, to avoid the hard work of finding a way. But those who become wealthy, in money or in life, are the ones who never stop asking, is there a way? How could I do it? Who can help me? If you want to live differently, you have to think differently. And it all starts with the questions you're brave enough to ask. Bab della Pancelasai. There's one more truth I want you to remember, especially if you're young, and you're still searching for where you fit. Life is a game. But not everyone is playing the same game. Some people are rugby players. Some are soccer players. Some play golf, alone, against themselves. In the world of money, my rich dad always said, find your game. For him, it was business first, and then real estate. That was his field, his arena. For you, it might be technology, it might be the arts, it might be building a company, or investing in ideas nobody else understands yet. But you can't win at someone else's game. You have to discover your own. What are you naturally good at? What brings you energy instead of draining it? What problems Do you love to solve, even when nobody's watching? This is not about copying what's trendy or what your friends are doing or what your parents think is best. It's about finding the thing you're willing to get good at, to fail at, to spend years learning, even when it's not easy. Because when you find your game and you play it with everything you've got, that's when you start to build something real. So I challenge you. What's your game? Are you brave enough to play it your way? Let me leave you with this. Something to remember every time you face a decision, every time you wonder what's holding you back or what's possible for your life. Nobody is born understanding money. Nobody is born knowing how to build wealth, how to create a business, or how to break free from old patterns. It's all learned. By asking questions, by seeking real teachers, by being willing to start small and fail forward. Most people will go through life accepting the rules they're given, working just hard enough to survive, never questioning what else is possible. But you don't have to follow their path. You can challenge the ideas you were handed as a child. You can seek knowledge outside the classroom, and you can choose to play the game of life on your own terms. If you want more than just a job, if you want freedom, meaning, and the chance to build real wealth, start now. Ask different questions. Take small risks. Find your game. Never stop learning from those who have walked the path before you. And above all, believe this. The life you want isn't out of reach. It's just on the other side of the comfort zone you've always known. Your story is yours to write. Choose to be the author.